Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the garage. We got a lot of work to do on the HMV Freeway, so let's get into it. I love my freeway, but I'm going to be honest with you, this thing is a death trap. A few months ago, while driving, doing maybe 20, 30 miles an hour on a back street, I hit the brakes a little bit too hard. The back wheel locked up and the whole car swung around, rolled over on the right-hand side. The gas filler got pushed into the car. Gas started spraying out everywhere because the fuel tank was up top, so just leaking out everywhere. And it was in general just not a very fun day. Fortunately, I wasn't hurt. So I'm going to be doing some upgrades to help out with that problem, one of which is installing a new master cylinder. The old one was just not working well. I don't think the front brakes were getting enough pressure, so I'm replacing it with a new one. This is from I think a late 60s AMC Pacer, or maybe a late 70s, I don't recall. But once I get that installed in this area, which is where the brake lines come from the master cylinder, I'm also going to put in a proportioning valve. And I'm doing this to further limit some of the pressure that goes to the rear wheel. That rear brake only has one cylinder, so it gets more pressure than the front, causing it to lock up earlier. Another thing I'm doing is installing an oil temperature sensor here in the back. You can see it there. Unfortunately, I didn't have a correct size sender on hand, so I had to use some adapters, but I can replace that with a more correct one in the future. This is basically just to, give me a sense of what the oil temperature is, since I didn't have that before. Now, this car came with mud flaps before, but they were all torn off when I got it. So I bought some cheap plastic mud flaps on Amazon and then cut them to fit. They just go on there pretty easily with 2 rivets. So I just kind of took one of the old ones that was still in halfway decent shape, used it as a template, and then using some, I think, 3/16 rivets, put those back on there. And it looks really nice and hopefully will be functional. Next up was to replace the ammeter gauge that was broken out of the car. This is just basically just due to it being old and crusty, so I got a new one off Summit Racing, and it was pretty easy to install. That way I will not have that rattling around in the dash. Then I started work on getting the body fixed up. That rolling over onto its side took an effect on the fiberglass, so basically just doing some filler here to get everything looking better than it was, although not perfect. I'm far from a body person. So I just roughed this on and then sanded it out to get it back down to the level of the gel coat. And then I also installed some new taillights. These are just kind of cheapo ones from AutoZone, but they fit really well. This is the fuel filler neck that came with my Freeway. I'm not sure if it's completely original to the car, but that's what it came with. I know the gas cap is not original. But I had problems with this. You heard me mention earlier in the video that this got pushed through the body whenever I rolled it onto the side, and that the cap came right off, and that was one of the reasons that it was spilling fuel everywhere. And you can see how easy that comes off, and it's not really a good seal. This just kind of pushed through the body. I believe there was a rubber seal that kept it from jiggling around, but it was very insecure and pretty flimsy. I couldn't find a good gas cap for it either. So decided I'm just going to remake one of these myself and get a better fit and something that's a little bit more secure. So here's what I was able to come up with. I just bought a kind of generic aluminum fuel filler neck gas cap combo off of Amazon. And then I was able to turn it down in my lathe to be the correct dimensions for my fuel filler hose, as well as the port on the side of the Freeway. You can see this has a threaded cap, which I drilled a hole in to make it vented. So there's absolutely no chance that this is going to break apart, even if I roll the car again and the fuel filler somehow gets pushed through. I also made these collets which go around the fuel filler neck. These use a set screw on each side of the body of the Freeway, and so one holds it from going all the way or too far in, and the other holds it from going out. So now it's substantially more secure. I just put it through, put the collets on each side, tighten down the set screws, and it doesn't move at all. It's rock solid. So this is 100 times better than the setup that was in there. Next up on my list of things to do was to put white walls on the car. These tires came with the Freeway and they were actually brand new, but they're not white walls, which is something that I wanted. So I decided to make my own using a little masking tape and some Max Flex all surface paint and primer. This actually came out really well. You'll see here in a second. It looks really good. I've gotten a lot of compliments on them, so it's a little janky, but I think it works. And here's the whole car. I did end up doing a Rust-Oleum spray paint job on it. The white walls came out really, really well. The finish on the spray paint came out really well. It's a 5-10 foot kind of spray paint job, but it looks really nice. And put my stickers back on there. You can see the fuel filler neck there with the cap on. Looks a lot nicer. And in general, I'm really happy with how it came out. I'll probably make some a new sunroof for it and maybe a new rear window because that was kind of falling apart as well. But overall, the car looks substantially better. Looks a lot less like something that someone just threw together in their garage, even though that's kind of what it was. So I'm really, really happy with it. And yeah, I would love to hear from you guys what you think about it. If you think the new white walls and the new paint job and everything else looks good. And as always, everyone, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video.